There has been so much talk about the idea of Final Fantasy in 2023, especially recently. We know for a fact that we're getting the Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 2 and, of course, Final Fantasy XVI, but a new rumor directly from Square Enix seems to hint at the fact that we're going to see the Final Fantasy IX Remake. Now, the leaker of the FF9 remake has been 100% accurate. It has never been wrong. But let's talk about the details. What's up, gamers? DreamcastGuy here. Hi, hope you're having a great day. If you could like this video and subscribe if you haven't already. Understandably, I am very, very excited. I absolutely love Final Fantasy IX. I've beaten it like 25 times. I've beaten it on every single system, from the PSP to the original PlayStation to the remakes they've done on new consoles that are HD. I even have the art books. I love Final Fantasy IX. Now, the inspiration of a lot of this is this strange statement that was released about Final Fantasy VII Rebirth's producer, which is, of course, Yoshinori Kitase. Now, Kitase is pretty much the head of Final Fantasy in a lot of ways. This man is currently focused on getting the Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 2 completely finished, but he is in yesteryear the director of Final Fantasy VI, Chrono Trigger, Final Fantasy VII. The guy is, he's Mr. Final Fantasy in a lot of ways. Well, he dropped this very strange hint where he said that Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 2 is picking up speed in development. Now, that's not surprising. It seems like that game is probably very much nearing the end, and they're going to start probably on Part 3 of the FF7 Remake trilogy. But then he also just randomly added in this extra tidbit. We have another big announcement unrelated to FF7 that I can't say anything about yet. Rest assured, we're working hard to make sure 2023 is the most exciting year yet. Now, this to me feels like they're signaling something big. If Yoshinori Kitase himself is saying that this is going to be a big year for Final Fantasy, from him, that is a very major statement. But what does this mean? Well, the predominant guess that a lot of people have been throwing out is the Final Fantasy IX remake that was listed in the NVIDIA leak. Now, in case you've never heard of this, I've done a couple videos talking about it. So, about 2 years ago, there was a game developer that was working on a project and he submitted it for approval. Essentially, the way it works is that whenever your game is done, you've completed it, it's time to send it off to see if it'll go onto the servers and get approved. You send it to NVIDIA to sort of get it checked over, and then they put it into the official NVIDIA database. That means it's going to be approved for being sold on Steam. It's going to run on graphics cards. It'll work on a PlayStation 5, stuff like that. Well, this guy, when he submitted it to the NVIDIA servers, it somehow just spit out a list of every single game currently on the NVIDIA servers. This guy accidentally got a list of hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of games that at the time were completely unreleased, and over the course of the last 2 years, they've all come true. Stuff like Helldivers, Uncharted coming to PC. This whole checkmark is every single thing that was on the list and later shown. So even things like Sackboy coming to PC, Returnal, God of War coming to PC. Coming down here, we see things like Perfect Dark, Avowed. Straight up, this list has been 100% accurate, even for big, insane stuff like when they saw the list originally, a lot of people were focusing on big projects like Kingdom Hearts 4 was on that list 2 full years before it was actually revealed. Even stuff like this, Tomb Raider, that we haven't seen that yet. But here's the crazy one. Final Fantasy VII Remake, Chrono Cross Remastered, which turned out to be real, Tactics, Final Fantasy Tactics Remastered, which hasn't been shown yet, but Tactics Ogre has been revealed and sold, but Final Fantasy IX Remake. Now, this is not a typo. Everything in this official server listing has been completely cleared. This is stuff that was submitted by, it seems like, Square Enix directly. This is the internal data. And everything on here, I mean, straight up, everything here has either been approved and has come out, or it's just stuff that is yet to be revealed. It's crazy the amount of stuff that has been 100% accurate, but we still haven't seen the Final Fantasy IX remake. At least not yet. But there has been a lot of rumblings and stuff that this definitely does exist, that we should get hyped, that we should keep hopeful. Things like this. This is a Final Fantasy IX character designer, and basically, recently they were doing like a special little documentary about his studio called Day in the Life. And here, he starts talking about the fact that, hey, I'm working on a game that's in the middle of development, so I can't really say it. But, I mean, the art he's doing in his, project that's incomplete, that's Steiner from Final Fantasy IX. That's a chocobo. I mean, look at this. The theme was to depict the last battle of Final Fantasy IX. This is, I mean, it seems like they're working on Final Fantasy IX Remake. There's even stuff like this, where in the actual subtitles, it says they've been working on the Final Fantasy VII Remake for doing motion capture and stuff. But the guy, the Square Enix employee, actually in Japanese just said they're working on the Final Fantasy VII Remake. Or sorry, they said that they're just working on the Final Fantasy Remake. Man, I mean, it really seems like it. There's even all these rumors that what they're going to try and lead into this remake with is a Final Fantasy IX anime. All of this just seems cool. But I guess the major concern that I've seen people sort of kicking around is what form this is going to be like. Now, personally, I am very happy with the Final Fantasy VII Remake. I think the first part, despite the ghosts and whispers being such a peculiar plot element, I have very much enjoyed the modern era of Final Fantasy. Things are different. Obviously, things are much more focused on action, than leveling systems, bosses, elemental weaknesses, stagger systems, counterattacks. I've really enjoyed what they're trying to do with the Final Fantasy VII trilogy. I think these remakes are going to be good. But with the Final Fantasy IX remake, I think they're going to go for a much more chill tone. I think they're going to try and do things that are probably very, very close to the original spirit of it. The Final Fantasy VII Remake is not just bigger budget, it had additional storylines, it's got extra characters, it's got new settings, new magic, new weapons and stuff like that. I think for FF9, it is going to be the exact same game in many aspects. I think it's going to mostly be a spiritual remake, or what I mean is that I think they're going to take the original art as much as possible. They're going to try and take a lot of these cool elements that have already been established and just make them look better. I imagine it's still going to have turn-based combat, or if it is an action RPG, I still think it's going to have as much as possible. I think it's going to be the same game, just exactly identical. Maybe a couple extra quests, maybe some extra details, obviously full voice acting, way better cutscenes and stuff. But for the Final Fantasy IX remake, I think it's still going to be this, just looking more beautiful. I don't think they're going to turn it into a quadrilogy or even a 2-game project. I think it's going to be a singular game, and to me, that's still incredibly hyped. I mean, what the heck is this? Oh my gosh! My friend wrote me a little Happy Father's Day thing years ago. Wow, why is that in my book? Well, that's super cute. A Happy Father's Day thing for my my animals. I used to adopt and foster sick animals. But anyways, I'm personally extremely excited for a Final Fantasy IX remake. I think that's so cool. I mean, I just want to see another glance at this universe. I have always said that Final Fantasy IX is the darkest Final Fantasy. It's about war. It's about selling out. It's about, complete corruption of an entire planet. I think it is just so freaking messed up. And that's part of why they use that cool anime aesthetic of it. I think, honestly, the potential of a Final Fantasy IX remake sounds amazing. I am so curious to see it, and I think we're going to see it probably before the spring even arrives. But what do you guys think? Are you excited about the idea of a Final Fantasy IX remake, or does this just seem like a lot of whatever. Tell me your thoughts in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this video, give it a big old thumbs up, share with your friends, and subscribe if you haven't already. And please, keep dreaming. By the way, has anybody else set goals? I'm trying to get, I gotta bulk up. I gotta, that's my New Year's resolution. I'm hitting the gym every day. Well, except for Sunday. Thanks so much for watching that video. If you want to see something else, you can always click this link to see what I put up last, or, subscribe and see what's coming up next. Also, I promise that whatever I do, it'll try not to suck.